Big words are tools that will make you more cool and impress your mum and possibly your dad. Trews VDD is like the Trews if the Trews was more tautologous. Let's have some words.
Why is an issue with guns?
It's amazing.
But it's amazing, isn't it? Because what they do is they have this kind of amazing ability to sort of retrench themselves with an issue where they have the moral clarity to say race is not an issue, and then sort of like make it such a pertinent issue that it gets in front of the actual story.
Yeah. Yes, because I think that what it is that there's a sort of if you think of Fox News as a machine that wants to preserve the status quo, that's what they want to do. So in this, I think money trumps all. So in a situation where like an affiliate of theirs, a sort of a moral and spiritual affiliation, like the NRA,
spiritually affiliated.
We're spiritually affiliated.
Spiritual level with the NRA.
Hello, brother NRA. Now let's go outside and shoot some people out of trees. It's a sort of a question. It's a hierarchy of ideologies, and their primary ideology is capitalistic.
I just keep wondering.
Well, can I just say the proof of that is this guy Cody Wilson, who put the plans to a plastic gun that you can make from a 3D printer, like there's one over there. So everyone could own a gun.
What they'll go, so they say it's like absolutely no. We're the NRA, and what we want is everyone to own a gun. Yeah. Are there any circumstances in which you want one? No, everyone should own a gun. Everyone's got to own a gun.
Yeah.
Right now, tell me about your idea.
This is a free gun.
No! Fuck off! That's dangerous! Like a child!
Okay, well, Tucker, I don't have enough money to bail you out of federal prison when you go lie on this form and say you're American Indian. I'm like...
Don't you think sometimes while looking at Emily Miller, why is it somewhere in my mind that Emily Miller is attractive to me?
Well, because she's attractive, that's what they do though, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I like the evil.
She represents
the sheer plasticity
you wanted to talk dirty to you. Privatise the state, Russell. Do you know what I do, Russell? I give the bank free reign over all social entities.
Oh, blimey!
But lying on the form is the crime. That's what you're doing is it's perjury. But the Obama administration isn't pursuing them. In fact, they only prosecute about 60 people a year. For lying on these forms.
Underneath this is about registration of arms, which is something that right now the right are in an absolute panic about. And it comes down to this basic principle, doesn't it, that we think, or I think anyway, that it's a liberal, sense, common-minded thing to say, hey, if you've got a gun, register it because you might be mentally ill, you might have committed crimes before, but they're like, no! Don't register guns. That's the craziest thing you can do. Because if you register guns, then you'll know how many we've got. And we don't want you to know how many we've got. I mean, like when we were in America, we said that loads of times. About abortion, about issues around guns.
I wonder how they would respond to, like, say you said, I want to shoot fetuses out of someone, but with a gun. Oh no, you can't have a fetus. The paradox.
Interesting. I wish the same scrutiny had been applied to the junior senator from Massachusetts on the American Indian question. Thanks so much, Emily.
A gun, right?
Yes, exactly. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
In spite of the bluster and force that's superficially behind their arguments, actually it's a deeply mercurial ideology because it's just supporting, it's about economic requirements, corporate requirements. And it's interesting because they use like sort of Christianity, like the idea that sort of Christianity could be the ideology backing such a sort of a ludicrously punitive, ugly and intolerant ideology because like Christianity, if nothing else, in fact, Jolyon, will you pass me that Emmett Fox book there? I would like to read a little bit of this to help us wrap up. But before we do that, what do you conclude from watching this?
I would like to conclude from watching this that this is about the NRA and it's about the gun industry in America, and actually the Second Amendment and the right to bear arms at the time was a relatively important freedom for Americans, but it's turned into a sort of vehicle with which the NRA promotes its ends, which is to sell as many guns as possible to as many people as possible in America, despite the amount of mass shootings that happen in schools.
This is interesting because looking at the root ideology of corporate America, Christianity, the table upon which it is presented, like a nominally secular country, but that uses Christian Puritanism as a kind of moral backdrop to a lot of their economic arguments. Check out this from a writer called Emmett Fox, who's an analysis of the Sermon on the Mount by the great prophet Jesus, who some people say was an actual thing, other people say was a symbol of a thing. Regardless, there's some really good ideas in here. Well, could that be a coincidence, or is that just a bit weird, isn't it? All this happening now. And this is an interesting piece of writing about judgment and how we should have a tolerant and loving attitude even to people that we find difficult to deal deal with. The vital bearing of principle covered in the beatitude, blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. It lies in its application to the realm of thought. The thing that really matters is that you be merciful in your thought. Kind actions coupled with unkind thoughts are hypocrisy dictated by fear or desire for self-glory or some such motive. They are counterfeits and bless neither the giver nor the recipient. On the other hand, the true thought about fellow man blesses him spiritually, mentally and materially, and blesses you too. Let us be merciful in our mental judgments of our brother, even them on Fox News, for in truth we are all one, and the more deeply he seems to err, like Sean Hannity, Bill O'Reilly, David Cameron, all them lot, Rupert Murdoch, the more urgent is the need for us to help him with the right thought and so make it easier for him to get free. We've got to liberate them, we've got to free them from the tyranny of their own minds. So those of us that are kind of awake and tuned into these arguments, it's not like, because sometimes, like for example, like last night when I was at Pride of Britain, I thought, well, I'd like to go up to David Cameron and hit him over the head with a plant pot. But then I thought, that's not a cool thing to do. If I see David Cameron, I should try and be loving and graceful.
A bit more nuanced than that.
Let's workshop that idea. Let's workshop it.
Right, so I'm going to go up to him with a plant pot.
Big words are tools that will make you look cool and impress your mum and possibly dad. Trews VDD is like the Trews if the Trews was more tautologous.
Let's have some words.